Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So Waves deep dives out. We're gonna quickly take a look at her basic rotation and then gonna break down the abilities and everything else Kabam has told us about her so far and try and figure out how good she's going to be. Now she's kind of a peculiar case because I actually genuinely feel she could be quite nice, but that obviously needs still to actually work out in the game. She's obviously going to be a very good Nico counter, and the base idea is that she can, heavy like Chavez and Thanos can from her base combo, and that is what you want to do until you build up to effectively almost 3 bars of power. And then she has that Morbius mechanic where you can you can glide through opponents' specials basically, and then you want to do a level 2 low on rotation. So she's a very basic champion to use. The rotation is effectively the reverse of Thanos, where again you want to drop those heavies, activate some level 1s, then go for level 2. Here, there are definite upsides to some of her abilities, like the fact that she can punish just about all the special attacks. I think that is kind of valuable these days because there are more and more champions who recover ridiculously fast. And her damage actually looks to be quite nice. So, let's take a look at her full breakdown. It is important to start with the fact that she's also going to be super high prestige champion. She's, I believe, 7th highest in prestige, so just like every other champion Kabam has released in the last half a year, since Prestige 30 became a thing, she is a top 30 prestige champion, or she's a top 10 prestige champion. So, I'm real tired of that, but not like it matters, because now Ascension and Rank 5s, I suppose, matter more, so take it for what you will, but she is going to be a very high prestige champion. She's absolutely not a defender, which is kind of a shame. I do think Science Last still needs a bit more of a help in, I'd say, dual purpose champions type thing, or very, very good defenders, because they don't really have that much going on there. Photon's Daze is like an amazing defensive threat attack, kind of over. Spider-Woman also got kind of defensively nerfed, and she's much easier to deal with now. And, Rhino, Modok are not quite up there. High Evolutionary actually is, I think, like right now, the better Science Defender, which, he's not on par with some of the others then. So, survivability 3.5, that's okay. Damage 4.5, so she should have quite a lot of damage, especially in these shorter fights, which again leads me to believe she's more in line to be like a Battlegrounds offensive champion, at least by design. Utility is 3, which is not the greatest. So Waves champion primarily focused on offense, not primarily but exclusively, leaning heavily into her heavy attack and her new battered debuff. Battered debuff is similar to trauma, except it doesn't depend on how much damage you do. It just gives you extra physical burst of damage per hit based on your attack, so crits don't really affect it. A lot of playing Wave best is getting into a flow, interrupting her combos to get heavy attacks in, learning the timing to get openings during the opponent's special attacks with the untouchable Wave, and utilizing the battered debuff to enhance her physical damage to find victory swimmingly. Poison and Incinerate duration resistance, and this is one of the things which I already kind of somewhat dislike. She has 0 immunities and she reduced the duration of poisons and incinerates, but still that obviously leaves quite a lot of chip damage. I actually kind of prefer just heavy damage reduction over the duration reduction, because then at least willpower has kind of time to, or ability to, cover the difference. Right, untouchable, battered, debilitate, physical vulnerability, tracking, fury, and regeneration. Now, here's another, to me she looks kind of like a mix of Morbius and Falcon Hook in Torres in a way, except that I think she could actually be good. But the big worry part for me is that battered, debilitate, physical vulnerability, and those like furies by themselves don't do anything outside of deal damage. Like literally all of these effects in majority of the fights could be replaced with just physical vulnerability, or just battered, or just fury, or any other generic attack or damage increase. It's kind of the thing with Falcon Hawk in Torres, where he has a million abilities, but all of them could basically be replaced with, stat changes. Give him more crit, give him like more base attack, and he would end up doing the same amount of damage because, inflicting physical vulnerabilities, inflicting battery, those are kind of like damage type of abilities. There's not much in terms of what actually helps you in a fight. On the bright side, I do think that Untouchable Wave, heavy from combo, and not gaining the precision on dexes, stuff like that, is kind of deceptively useful in current game. Right. Attacker summary. Charge heavy attack midway from combo, stun the opponent. The fourth hit combo, including heavy, inflicts debilitate. Heavy attacks inflict physical vulnerability. And ready an untouchable wave. Untouchable wave allows dashing forward during opponent's special attacks to gain untouchable and inflict tracking, which is good, which is like the one piece of utility she has. Again, kind of like Falcon Hawk in Torres has slow, she has tracking. But I do think it's a better package altogether. Punishing special grants 300% heavy proficiency. Specials 2 and 3 inflict battered, pause during special attacks. Special 1 grants furies. Defender summary reduces, there's nothing. There's basically nothing. Right. So always active. Utilizing her power over water, Wave can dilute poisons and snuff out incinerates, reducing the duration by 75%. Additionally, her regeneration rate cannot be reduced by poison. That's a nice touch. Wave's personal debuffs are all paused if either champion hasn't landed a hit for 2 seconds. That's also kind of nice, helps you combat very passive AI, I suppose. So I do like that. That's a nice quality of life ability. Fury style. When Wave intercepts or causes an attack to miss, she gains 600 Fury passive for 5 seconds, max stacks 3. And if this is all based on Ascended, rank 5, level 65, 6-star champion, that's not a massive Fury. That's like, what, 15%? It's not too bad, I guess. When Wave avoids a hit with a dexterity mastery, she gains 1 of these Furies instead of a precision. So that's very, very nice. I like that a lot. Full buff immunity might be nicer, no? Heavy medley. Wave can charge her heavy attack after non-combo ending attack, so passively stun the opponent for 0.75 seconds. The fourth hit of a basic combo, including heavy attacks, inflict 25% debilitate debuff for 8 seconds. Wave's debilitate doesn't affect the stun debuffs, max stack 4. But debilitate should affect other debilitates, right? No? The first hit of a heavy inflicts 250 physical vulnerability debuff for 8 seconds, max stacks 4. So again, that's not like the most potent one, but overall her damage numbers look quite nice. Punishing a special attack grants a non-stacking 1800 heavy proficiency passive until the final hit of Wave's heavy attack. While active, her heavies cannot critically hit. That seems to be like some sort of a limiting factor on her. Untouchable Wave, heavy attacks ready, and Untouchable Wave. Untouchable Wave is basically Morbius's glide. Opponent during their special attacks and rushing wave of water, becoming passively untouchable until shortly after starts an attack. If this causes an attack to miss, unready Untouchable Wave. Untouchable Wave inflicts a tracking debuff for 4 seconds. This is also inflicted at the start of each fight. So that's kind of nice. Special 1. Each hit inflicts Wave's debilitates and physical vulnerabilities. During this attack, Wave gains 600 Fury passive for each debuff on the opponent, so you get a whole bunch of those passive Furies. Special attack 2, overpowering. On hit of non-stacking, inflict non-stacking 2400 battered debuff for 3.5 seconds. If one is not active, it is paused during specials and strikers and remains paused until Wave or her opponent lands a hit. So this is like your prep special because you want to be doing a lot of extra red number damage thanks to this battered debuff. So again, the rotation, generally speaking, is level 2 into level 1 and then hopefully another level 1 unless the opponent's dead. Special attack 3. How long is this? 3.5 seconds. Ooh, that's short. That is short. But okay. Special attack 3. Queen of the Seven Seas. Gain a stack of Puro, max 2. Each stack of Puro. Each stack of that increases the max stack of physical vulnerabilities and debilitates by 2. Increase the potency of her battered by 25%. Inflict Waves battered. Still, this is just exclusively for long fights, for sure. Signature ability. When non-instant poison or incinerate on Wave expires, gain a regeneration passive, healing 70% of the damage taken from those effects over 4 seconds. Against mystic opponents, this includes degeneration. Waves debilitate, tracking, and battered debuffs become severe against mystic opponents. Even though I really don't think there's anything in mystic class that purifies anything, I suppose, you know, it helps with nodes, obviously, yes. Now, synergy bonuses with Neva and Atuma. Synergy champions, every hit includes splash attack. which does nothing every 20 hits if the combo meter causes the next 2-3 hits trash, dealing an additional. Oh, okay, fine. That's kind of like that collective ability. Untouchable heavy with Tiger, Morbius, and Kitty Pryde. Synergy champions charging heavy outside of specials grants an untouchable passive for 1 second. Paused while charging until an attack misses. If it caused the miss, it goes into cooldown for 30 seconds. This is kind of like training wheels for Tigra, so I kind of like it, I guess. The first miss counts as if it was caused by Kitty's face. Ooh, damage. Causes a miss, Morbius heavy attack gains the benefit of a Psionic Glide medium attack. And this is actually kind of nice synergy, to be honest. Shame synergies aren't really too relevant in today's game, but that is nice. I like that. Quicksilver, Toad, and Pixie. Synergy champions backing up to the left wall begins 30-second timer. If the opponent hits the right wall within that time, gain a 50% Fury passive for 20 seconds. The timer cannot restart until it has failed or the Fury has ended. This is kind of a quirky synergy. I kind of like it, to be honest. Okay, what else? Liquid Courage and Willpower. Obviously, you can't really run Liquid Courage, but sure, I suppose that would be quite nice with her. Recovery against opponents that deal incinerates or poisons. Yeah, of course. Inequity and Despair. Makes sense. Offensive stat focus on penetration. Because Butter doesn't care about critical hits and her highest damaging attack is enhanced heavy attacks that can't crit. Web can benefit more than other champions with a stat focus that aren't critical hit ones, such as armor penetration. I suppose. Balacast, Relic, Hulk, that makes sense. Physical burst of damage. So that is Wave. Again, I think the crucial bit here is how well she does. Like in Enchantress, she would nuke. Nico, she's great against for. Rintra should be perfectly fine because easily heavy. Destroyer, you don't gain buffs, you would be fine too. So I think she would actually be kind of nukey for all the Mystic defenders. We'll need to update this in a bit. The real question is how well she, for instance, deals with like Onslaught's, Jeans, Dominos, and things like that. Obviously, Captain Britain is going to go right out of the window because you don't want to be knocking her down. Mr. Sinister's kind of going to be rough because he's going to be willpower healing like crazy. Dust, I think she's going to do fine. Gentle, she should be able to do okay too, to be honest. Jean and Onslaught. Onslaught should be okay. Why not? Obviously here in the Cosmic Class, Serpent, Thanos is going to be largely probably not too great. Thanos should be okay, maybe. Serpent, not really. Dark Phoenix, nothing in that department. Maestro is probably not the best idea either. Zola, she should be very good against. Solvark, actually, if she does Solvark well, that would be like very nice leg up. So it's going to be interesting to see if she is kind of like, relevant enough, because again, she's a champion that's genuinely kind of like collective of Morbius and Falcon, Hawk, and Torres, basically. But I do like the package a lot more because from what I saw, the playstyle is kind of fluid. It is kind of like allowing her to be aggressive. It does have Safeguard if AI kind of stalls out. There are quite few little advantages to be had with not gaining buffs on your dexes, protect you against some of the nodes and whatnot, or protecting you against MD. But again, for a science champion to come out that doesn't stop evades, doesn't stop unstoppable, doesn't deal with healing, doesn't deal with power gain, it immediately by default kind of like makes you skeptical, right? There's no Petrify, no Wither, no Spectre, no Slow, no Pursuit, none of the things that really deal with troublesome abilities that we see spammed all over. The one thing that she can counter is Miss. I hope it's good enough, I really do. And if it isn't, then I'd be kind of pissed, because I think Kabam would have been like this close. But, she might still be potent. And yeah, I definitely like her playstyle. So, I'm not saying she's going to be busted, but I'm saying that I'm more than interested in testing her out and seeing how well she does. Let me know what you think, guys. And yeah, it's a shame that I'm not going to be able to ascend her this year, I suppose. See you later, guys. Bye-bye. Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information